Broken armor. Downed. I am redeeming myself, like I said I would. Okay, none of those shots registered on me. I am redeeming myself, like I said I would. Good morning Apex University, my name is Dan and I'll be your coach for today. So today we're looking at, first of all, here the first game from yesterday's stream where I ended up picking up an R301 as I do in both of the games in this video. And the R301 is my personal favorite weapon. I am a tracking specialist and I have a support playstyle, so it fits me perfectly combined with a sniper or maybe something else. I really like its versatility, it's viable at pretty much every range and it really rewards good aim. The downside, however, with most tracking weapons in Apex Legends other than the LMGs is that they have a relatively small magazine capacity for their fire rate, which means that if your aim isn't on point you're going to end up reloading a lot, and that's generally when you get punished by weapons like the Wingman. So I end up looting my R301 and my armor here. Teammates get into a fight, but by the time I show up they've already taken care of it, so there's not much for me to do other than yoink the loot. I end up dropping my EVA 8 for a Spitfire here. Now the EVA 8 makes way more sense as a close range secondary compared with or combined with my 301. I'm just picking up the Spitfire to hold the blue extended mag since I know I'm going to want to pick up a Lombo or a Prowler later with the loadout that I wanted to run this game. And more people show up. I didn't realize I hadn't reloaded, the gun had no ammo in it when I picked it up, which is unfortunate. And I'm getting focused too much being out in the open against these two enemies, so I reset. I tell my teammates I have to use a full Phoenix, and sadly a random teammate doesn't respect it, still goes in while I'm only halfway through and he goes down. And as soon as that happens I know I'm going to want to support Elliot from over here and try to buy him some time to try and fight off these enemies because they might push on our down. I'm right, they do, and our teammate luckily crawls back fast enough for Elliot to use the Resurrection Shield from Lifeline to defend himself, which gives me some time to move up, reload, and take this Lifeline out. Now, my aim is not on point yet, that's the first game of the day, so forgive me for that, but I get closer. My last teammate, Elliot, goes down, so I expect this Lifeline to start focusing me, which is why I was hip firing there, to increase my movement speed and make it hard for him to flick over to me in a 90-degree angle and hit me. We end up looting up and we move our way over to Bunker, where we hear some teams fighting on the other side. Notice how I'm using cover and the crosshair placement as I mentioned in my close quarters combat guide. Now my loadout does not have a close range weapon, so Bunker is not ideal. The reason I'm still pushing through is because with the way and the distance I heard them fight, I thought we'd be able to get through before they were able to get in, so I wanted to get through fast and fight them outside, which is way better for me with my loadout. But we end up hearing that there's multiple teams fighting on the left and multiple teams on the right side of Bunker, so I quickly tell my team in voice chat that I want to move over along the left side altogether so that we end up on the outside of this team fight and not on the inside, and we can assess the situation and get as many kills as possible. I don't hear the enemies fighting anymore, so I wait for my team. So I take high ground and I just scout for a second trying to figure out where these teams exactly are. And I see that their fight is over and they are looting and healing, so I decide to throw an arc star to start the fight. Well, he doesn't know where I am because I rotated around the outside, and a quick free kill just like that. Now they saw how extremely far I was and they don't hear anybody pushing up, so they try to go for a resur, but obviously I instantly pushed on that knowing they're the last team here and they aren't full health, and it's quick cleanup from there. Now, as I'm looting, I'm already aware that there's at least one team left on the right side because I heard them fighting before, but right after the looting here, I also noticed the supply drop that they drop as we make our way out of zone when we're done looting. Now, I already wanted to push this team, but my team wasn't ready, they had to loot up, so I keep in mind that this team is here and I wait with pushing them. But now that we're making our way out of zone, I know there's a team on my left, maybe two, but there's at least a team waiting here. So you see me bunny hopping close to the left side where I have cover and then keeping my eye on the right side. I can hear an enemy that seems to be out in the open, so I want to punish him, and after I take him out I want to use this piece of cover on my left to reload, so I do that and assess the situation. I notice that they are very spread out. The Bloodhound is crawling back to the left and the other teammates are spread out along the left and right side of this compound. The lifeline took a lot of damage to her armor and she's slowly moving towards the left as well, presumably to use a battery, so I want to push this from the outside to punish their positioning, but they're really focusing this open area that I can't traverse. So what I end up doing is using the arc stars that I have to throw them where I think they're healing and possibly rezzing, to buy myself the time to relocate to the right side of this compound and fight them from the outside inward to make sure that I fight one isolated opponent at the time and punish them for being so spread out. So notice how I keep an eye on the right side because I don't know where this last opponent is. There's only one left now, and so I just want to stay relatively close to my team here so we can't get picked off one by one, and then he'll show himself sooner or later, as he does right here, and let's just clean up from there. So we end up looting up, and after we loot up we end up hearing a lot of stuff go down towards the edge of the new zone, which is artillery. So we end up making our way over there, and as we're going over to artillery we can hear by the gunshots and the explosions that there's at least two teams in a very long fight there. Now when you can hear that a fight is going on for a very long time, that can either mean that both teams are bad and not willing to push in against each other and either not being able to down each other or constantly rezzing, or it means that the teams have such a position that it's very difficult to actually finish them off. So you want to give yourself some time to figure out what the situation is. I see them fighting far away, so I throw my arc stars in this doorway where I expect these teams to be contesting each other and using to heal and hide. I see one of the opponents and I see he's using a battery. Now I didn't see him cancel his battery when I shot him, so I expect him to have full armor as I jump over here, which is why I value high ground over speed as I attack him. He's focused on my teammate as I get behind him, so I can just do free damage. But I am hip firing in preparation for him to turn around, since the R301 is not the best close range weapon and gives me some extra strafe speed. And I knew the Wraith was going to be hiding and healing from the team up top because she had just taken a lot of damage, so it was a free cleanup from there, and that's one team dead. Now I meant to switch to a battery here so that I can use it when I get to cover, but I accidentally pressed my shield cell, so I have to use my void walk to overcompensate, and then I can use the door to heal up. And now my next priority is just to find a position in which I can fight this team, and I kind of want to get to the other side of this big wall where I arrived from to see if they have a zipline or a jump pad up there, since our teammate is not putting a zipline up there for some reason, a random teammate. So I slowly make my way over there, just healing, bunny hopping my way along, making sure I use all the cover around me to break line of sight from them, and just use the sounds as they're fighting to try and figure out where they are. I wanted to see what armor he had there. I got the sound of hitting his armor, but I didn't get a hit marker for it because it didn't register for some reason, so I don't know what armor he has, but the nade hits. And my plan here is not to fly on the balloon because it takes way too long, but to land on this other zipline right here, but I fail. Instead of healing up, I decide to do it again, knowing I can take the zipline in the other direction and then heal up, because they'll never expect me to do that and then come back with it. So I can just go to the backside here, use a battery, heal up, and then while my team is contesting them, I can make my way back. Now, sadly, I do get noticed here, and I shouldn't have taken these shots. And you can strafe on a zipline, but what you can do is jump and just catch it again to make yourself way harder to hit. Don't forget, you can also use your void walk while you're on it. Now, I don't want to give up this high ground even with the damage I'm taking, so I'm just trying to mitigate any damage I can while letting my teammate deal his. And what I'm basically doing here is turning myself into bait so that my teammate can deal some damage. Now, I have to drop down because I have almost no health, but the enemy Pathfinder does the same and then decides to turn around, so I can punish him real quick. And right here is a mistake on my side. This fight has gone on for a really long time, and we are the third party to show up to this fight, as well as a lot of nades having been thrown, so I really should have expected another team to show up here. I was not ready for a third party, and that's just me mistaking my awareness. Now Elliot reses with the shield to the wrong direction here and still finishes it like the maniac he is, so I instantly use my void walk to hope I can reset, get some cover, and use a battery. I'm not going to use a medkit or syringes here because it would take way too long, and instead I'm going to wait for this enemy team to engage on my team to know that they are preoccupied and distracted, and so I can punish them with it when I have to expose myself with my 301. Here you see me changing up the angle for exactly that reason on the Mirage, shooting him from the back instead of continuing to push forward. And there's one left, but he's foreign spamming with the triple take, so knowing that there's two down and both teams only have one person up now, I decide to finish the caustic from the first team because he dropped from the wall. He doesn't actually notice that I go in here, so I wait for him to be distracted once again, and then I can punish him with my 301. So this really showcases what I wanted to show you with this video, which is that if you have a weapon like an R301 where you have to stand out in the open in order to deal damage, you really want to punish people when they are distracted, when they don't notice you, or when they're in a predictable animation or trying to heal. And as I'm chasing this final Wraith to finish the game, look at my health real quick as she punches me. Anyway, GG. Let's move on to the next one.
Good job, boys.
Now I'm fueled up on Red Bull at this point, so when Elliot leaves I don't decide to call it a night yet, and I play a couple more games with randoms before I leave. Now I'm directing this team straight into Thunderdome with Bloodlust on my mind, and I find myself another R301 which I once again combined with another tracking weapon, which is not ideal at all, so I know I'm gonna have to play from positions like high ground and play around enemy focus right here. Now I know there's a team inside of Skulltown, I hear them moving about and I drop down to the building roofs to try and catch them. Sadly my teammate gives away our position, so I kind of end up having to chase them and fight them normally, but I still end up using their focus against them by trying to find them in isolation and catching them when they're trying to heal. When chasing this Pathfinder I didn't realize he had a teammate right here, so I back off, but as soon as I back off to rotate around I notice my teammates pushing in and I hear them getting shot at, so I know these enemies are distracted and I can turn right back around, and rather than have to kick the doorway that the Pathfinder is holding while he's healing, I can use this small distraction against them. Right here as well, I don't want to straight run out the door while the Wraith is aiming at it with a shotgun, so I end up closing it first, waiting for her to be engaged with my teammate, and then I go through. Then I end up spotting an enemy running out of caves towards this res beacon, so I pull out an arc star expecting him to be resing his team here. For some reason he ends up running away, so I decide to shoot him with my devotion and eventually take him out. As I do, I notice they have a portal, and I know this is a bait. It's usually a bad idea to go to a portal when you don't know where it goes, but fuck it, I took no damage, I have one down, so I decide to go in with an arc star. At the very least I can just throw it at where they're standing or where the down guy is and then take care of it. But they weren't actually ready for it, so I can take the fight here. I have some high ground, so I can just crouch when I reload, as I usually do, and that's 2 down right there. I end up taking a little bit too much damage here, and although I can't see the enemy when I'm in Void Walk, I'm actually getting closer underneath him right here because I can hear him shooting at my teammate, so I know he's not actually looking at me. If I can hear him shooting at the teammates behind above me, I know that he doesn't notice where I'm going, and I can flank around and catch him in his rotation as he's trying to run away. He actually runs towards us, so that's a free kill for me. We hear some people fighting across the river here, and I tell my team I want to fight this from the left side, so I know we can get into a favorable position based on where I could hear this fight going down and where I could see them. Now I push up to the top here because that's the position I want to take, but I'm a little bit too late and I end up getting punished for it, so I have to reset here and quickly use a Phoenix, but that's alright. I warn my teammates and they luckily don't feed. And I go back up and I just try it again. So even though I've lost this earlier damage exchange, my team actually didn't. They're still up there, they're doing fine, and I've now made a mental note of where both the surviving teams are. There's 2 people at least in the house on the right that were just shooting me, so I'm just grabbing some fresh armor, and then there's a team above being contested by my team. So now I know how I can move around and use the cover around me to actually win this fight, and I'm no longer worried about where I have to position, so just push up. This guy doesn't put up his res shield, which is why I thirst him, because I don't know if he has self-res, and 5 seconds later I probably can't kill him anymore because there's too many people in this area. Wait for his teammate to show up, and he also doesn't have armor and is getting shot from above, so honestly just easy free kills. And my teammates end up finding another team right here. Now I noticed that we are in not quite a favorable position. It's a very open area, so I decide to instantly flank around the left while I'm not being focused, using the terrain a bit to obscure my path. And then right here, although there isn't much cover, you don't need much. I just use some of the trees right here for cover and make sure I'm taking another angle than my team. And you can really see the strength of these weapons once you find a crossfire with your team where you're not being focused. So understanding focus is really good for getting the highest value out of tracking weapons possible. So all 3 enemies went down here, but they didn't actually bleed out, which means one of them has a self-res, so I just shoot any one of them that isn't holding out their res shield. Now sadly, of course, the last guy that's farthest away was the one that had it, and he already crawled away, but before he's able to get his self-res off, he ends up dying anyway. So we just move on to the last team. And right here I spot them jumping off the balloon, so we decide to push them up top. I know they've seen us as well because they took a shot when we were fighting earlier, and I know they've already taken a high ground position. I really like this zipline here because more importantly than giving us a way in that isn't the staircase, it also gives us a way out. I know this early spam from the zipline jump isn't going to be accurate, but at least it makes me able to deter the enemy a little bit, and then I have somebody exposing themselves on the left. Now, it's weird for me to take any challenge from somebody on high ground when I'm standing out in the open like right here, but I knew I couldn't make it to the corner in time, so I had to contest him to try and get him off me, otherwise he would have probably killed me, unless I was willing to use my Void Walk, which I didn't want to use quite yet. Then I end up chasing the last guy. He's actually hiding in that bush right there, but I don't end up seeing him at all. I wish it was like Fortnite, where at least your head always pokes out. So I end up healing up when I can't find him, and as I finish my heal, I actually spot his head poking out of the bush right there, and that's GG.
Nice. Nice.
Yday says. GJ.
Good job.
I really hope this was helpful.
Again?
Peace.
Yday says. Again. Yday says. GG.
Gay!